So let's move on then to emotional intelligence, which is part of the development of a high-performing team. And the thing about emotional intelligence, unlike IQ, is that you can learn it. Research tells us that we peak at about 28, but then we can continue to develop our emotional intelligence through our experience and wisdom. And the idea of emotional intelligence is that it allows people to be their best, and it allows people to maintain a capability even when it's high stress, because we become aware of the impact of the consequences of our actions through the development of our own emotional intelligence. So it makes us as individuals more efficient, productive, successful. There's less misunderstanding. It means that we can create these high trust relationships where interactions can just flow because there's an understanding. We've done some upfront work on relationships, and that upfront work allows us to move into a flow that if you don't do the work, conflict stops us from getting to those points, stops us from innovating in the full potential that's possible. Certainly one of the aspects is emotional intelligence allows us to become more real and actually resolve differences in a healthy way so they don't stop the organisation in the future. So most of my work around change and organisations is I need to open Pandora's box and deal with unresolved issues before I can help an organisation transform in whatever area, whether it's an IT application or whether cultural, whether values and behaviours, or whether a seamless supply chain. You need to deal with the past in a way that allows things to flow in the future. If it doesn't affect what's going on in the future, you leave it in the past. So very important to help people to maximise. The idea is that people see themselves in a development mode always, and they're always getting better. So, you know, human beings make mistakes. We're not saying we're going for perfection, but what we're going for is a reflective position on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis where we reflect on how we're going as a group of people, how we're going as individuals, based on the promises we've made to others. So emotional intelligence is a critical component of a high-performance team. So many years ago, Aristotle said anyone can become angry. That's the easy bit. But to be angry with the right person to the right degree at the right time for the right purpose and in the right way, that's not easy. And we can spend our lives getting better at it. But that's how we can define in an easy way emotional intelligence. So if we then break it down into those four pieces that I've spoken about: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management, and what relationship management and our improved capability there has an impact on everybody. It can actually then enable high performance because everybody can work day to day staying engaged, and discretionary effort is always available in that high performing environment, and that's the challenge. It's the same challenge with engagement. We're not looking for engagement for the sake of it, we're looking for it because discretionary effort is then possible in that environment, and that's where the magic happens. So the good news is we can increase our emotional intelligence, and I've seen dramatic improvements in people with this focus. So emotions, thoughts, behaviours actually lead to improved performance, and so sometimes, you know, so in one of these emotional intelligence competencies is emotional self-control, and often what you see is that emotional self-control is too much. People are unemotional, and emotional intelligence does not equal not being emotional. It's being appropriate, and it's being aware of when your buttons get pushed. So part of the Hay Group research is that leadership styles, which can predominantly be determined by emotional intelligence, have a 70% impact on organisational climate or culture, and that has a 30% impact on business performance, which I think many would argue it could be much higher than that. Okay, so the idea of emotional intelligence is that we can pick up what leadership style is important in the moment, and we're flexible and agile in the delivery of that style. What that means is that we don't use an inappropriate style like command and control when we're trying to develop up, for example, a high-performance team. So the good news is it's learnable. So great leaders bring out the best in their team members, and they do that through their own capability in emotional intelligence by being able to read the signs and signals. And great leaders, they may have done nothing on the development of their emotional intelligence, but they're highly emotionally intelligent, and their past will uncover various means to achieve that intelligence. So if we look at some of the research in terms of the links between EQ and performance, we can see that those leaders demonstrating high emotional self-awareness, so that's the first emotional competency. So it's the ability to know what I feel, to be able to articulate what I feel, and to not be triggered into a certain action for the sake of the trigger. I can actually park the trigger and still deliver the leadership style that's necessary to maximise output in whatever interaction is required. So high emotional self-awareness, 92% create positive climates. Only 8% had a neutral impact, and none were creating demotivating. And in sharp contrast, 78% of the leaders who demonstrated low self-awareness created negative workplace climates. So direct link between emotional intelligence and organisational culture. Probably not a surprise to those who have that level of emotional intelligence.